Well, students, I hope everybody is fine, enjoying your life and health. Now, let us begin the topic. That topic, as the name states on the board, you can see it is excretion. And in the excretion, we will want to study that how it is process is performed in the body and how the things are removed. So, when the body performs the function, so some of the metabolites are produced. So, write down the things as I am putting on the smart board. Some of the metabolites are produced and these metabolites may be toxic, okay, and if they get accumulated, then they are dangerous for the cell. And similarly, as they get accumulated, also with these metabolites, the water and salts, so write them together, water and salts content of the body may also increase or decrease. So, in order to maintain the state of hemostasis, word coming to you, the state called hemostasis, so that body can function properly. So, we have the process called excretion. Now, write down the definition for excretion and thereafter learn it. So, excretion is a biological process, as you know it is performed by the living cells or living beings. So, it is a biological process, and in this process the organism get rid of excess of waste products, okay, excess of waste products of metabolism, the various process that undergoes in it. So, get rid of the metabolic waste of metabolism process, that is referred as excretion. I hope that answer is now clear in your mind, that what is excretion is getting rid of the metabolite waste. And then second process that you should also know, it called osmoregulation, and write it down properly, osmoregulation, okay. And this is the mechanism that maintains the amount of water, write it down, maintains the amount of water and proper complete, write down sentence, proper ionic balance, this is a new word for you people, proper ionic balance in body fluids, So, both this definition, excretion and osmoregulation, should be written down by you and learn them, because these two terms you are going to use in this topic as the content proceed. Now, then you write down what are the importance. So, why the things are important for us. So, importance of excretion and osmoregulation, why the body needs them. So, first point you write under the heading, so that they remove the unwanted byproducts of metabolism, unwanted byproducts. So, these products unwanted, make sure it should be written unwanted byproducts of metabolic processes. In order to remove them, body needs the performance or the working of excretory system. Now, write down the point number 2 under this heading. So, it also removes the toxic chemical substances, So, make sure write them properly, toxic chemical substances. Then write down the number 3, the topic for importance for this is regulate the ionic content of body fluids. Regulate the ionic, write down this word, we will clear it afterwards. Ionic concentration of body fluids. So, regulate the ionic concentration of body fluids. The next point under the importance of excretory system, and write them in this respective order, so that thing could be known to you and learned by you properly. It regulate the water content of the body fluid, most important. This is regulate the water content, okay. Regulate the water content of the body fluid. Water content of the body fluid. So, these are some of the importance, and the last you can write for your information that it also regulate the pH of body fluid. Regulate the pH of body fluid, most important for the functioning of cells, okay. Regulate the pH of body fluid. So, these are some of the importance of excretory system or excretion in our body. So, this is a general layout. For your information, you should also know that in some of the animal kingdom, these things are somewhat called by some other names. So, say in case of earthworm, the same thing is performed by the term called nephridia. So, make sure nephridia. Then in case of insects, the same excretory system is performed by, in case of the insects, we use the term called Malpighian tubule. Malpighian. So, check out the spelling, Malpighian, Malpighian tubules. So, these are one word questions, sometimes we do ask you, Malpighian tubules. And for animals like us, under the heading called vertebrates. So, in case of vertebrates, the excretion and osmoregulation is performed by the organ called kidneys. So, now we read about this, that how the things are performed by this organ referred as kidneys. So, this from here we can say the topic for our class begins. So, as you can see in this photo shot, that how the things are arranged in our system. So, in case of excretory system in us, the organs for excretion are kidneys, that you can see from here, then ureter, the second one, then urinary bladder, and last is the urethra. So, again check out the name, kidney, these are the organs of excretion. So, kidneys, the ureters, the urinary bladder, and the opening called urethra. So, these are the organs for excretion in our body. And as far as kidney is concerned, so you can see it is just like a bean shaped structure in the diagram you can see, and approximately weigh close to 150 grams. Okay. The weight of kidney is close to 150 grams, and the tubes that comes out of it called the ureter brings the fluid in the bladder, and through the urethra the excreted product called urine is excreted out. So, each kidney is a thin fibrous enclosed in a thin fibrous component and called capsule. Okay, so write down this word. It is enclosed in capsule. So as a result, the first enclosing organ is capsule, and the renal artery brings the oxygenated blood into the kidney. You can check it out. The renal artery here brings the oxygenated blood and the blood which is going to be purified into the kidney, and along with the nitrogenous waste which has to be filtered out. And after filtration in the kidneys, the purified, but that blood is deoxygenated. Okay, purified means all the toxic waste is removed. The filtration, the purified but deoxygenated blood leaves the kidney through renal vein. So make sure the renal artery, when I use the word renal, it means we are talking about kidneys. So it brings the oxygenated blood but rich in toxic waste, and after the filtration is done, the same blood which is now been purified after the waste is removed, but it is deoxygenated. Okay, blood leaves the kidney through the renal vein, and you know the words inferior vena cava that we have read in the heart brings that blood into the heart for the circulation process. So you should know which artery feeds the blood to the kidney and from which blood vessel the blood return from the kidney back into the heart. So as a result, you can see it has an outer dark granular cortex and inner lighter medulla. Okay, the kidney consists of the outer, referred as the word dark region, referred as the cortex, and inner lighter region called medulla. These are the two parts for the kidney itself, and it has a hollow space where the ureter leaves the kidney is called pelvis. Okay, you can see the name here, pelvis. So this is that hollow region where the ureter leaves the kidney. I can check it out. The outer dark region cortex, the medulla is a bit more lighter, and pelvis is the region from where the ureter leaves the kidney. So these terms, just for the sake of labeling, you should know it. Rest as go in the higher class, we deal the more function about it. So each kidney is made up of numerous coiled structure that will take it called nephrons. So this is the new word for us. This is the backbone of all structure in kidney called nephrons. So we study the structure just after this slide. Okay. So each kidney, it consists of numerous coiled tubules and we call them as nephrons. So you must know that how the blood feeds into the kidney, how it leaves it, some good parts of the kidneys, and then that the unit for the filtration called nephrons. So now if you study the nephron, and this is one of the simple diagram that you should draw after pausing the video, and that lets you know that all the parts, how the blood enter into it and get filtered out. Okay. So first of all, check out some names. So this is called afferent arteriole. So write down the spelling, A-double-F, A-double-F-E-R-E-N-T, afferent arteriole. First you label the part, then we discuss about the working. Okay. And through this the blood enter, and through this part here, I think not that much good visible, called the afferent arteriole. Same term but only spelling is different, E-double-F. Okay, write it down, E-double-F, afferent arteriole. Afferent arteriole, the blood leaves it. So make sure blood comes through afferent arteriole and leaves through afferent arteriole into the nephron. This is the nephron structure. And then further go into the diagram labeling. Then you have something called glomerulus. Okay, the whole structure, which is the complete coiled structure, you can see inside that zone. Write down the word called glomerulus. Glomerulus, yeah, glomeruli. we called it word glomerulus, glomerulus, and this structure like U shape you can call it is referred as Bowman capsule, okay, Bowmans, Bowman's capsule. So write down these words because we are going to use it in our description, glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. So these are the two names we have to label from these two areas, okay. Then as the blood moves, the blood which has been filtered out moves into the structure. This is called proximal. Write down the word proximal, Proximal, proximal convoluted, the words are new, voluted, okay. Proximal convoluted tubule, Tubule, okay. So check out the word proximal convoluted tubule, this part which I have just highlighted for you to understand better. So after running through the proximal convoluted tubule, the blood comes into this zone called loop of Henle or Henle loops. Henle's loop, LOOP. So this part, the whole structure is referred as loop of Henle, yeah, Henle's loop. Then the fluid moves upward and that particular tube here is referred as distal, okay, DISTAL, distal convoluted, same word, convoluted tubule, okay, convoluted tubule. So after all this structure, as the blood moves into these tubes, ultimately the filtered stuff which is referred now as everything which is being removed from the blood referred as the waste is then collected into the collecting duct, okay, collecting duct, and that runs into the ureter, into the bladder and out of the body. So in order to understand this, I just repeat the terms again, so you should know what the things are. So from efferent arteriole, blood comes in, then it runs into the coiled capillaries called glomerulus, which is in the Bowman capsule surrounding it. The Bowman capsule collects the all filtered fluid or liquid, which runs into the convoluted tubule through the loop of Henle into the distal convoluted tubule, and ultimately the urine get collected in the collecting duct. And during this whole journey, the good components from the blood get absorbed, and then from this efferent arteriole get into the circulatory system back. So this structure you have to draw it, make sure draw it, practice a number of times and then learn about it. Now let us see the working in detail of the nephron. By knowing the parts now, you should know it is easier for you to understand the working, okay. So write it down. Each kidney is consisting of approximately 1,000,000. You can imagine such a massive network. Approximately 1,000,000 nephron called excretory units is present in each kidney, that is each kidney. So as a result, you can see the structures, its complexity, and then let us study how the process of excretion takes place in nephron, okay. So this is the important topic, you should be knowing it. So we can distribute this topic that the process of excretion is divided into 3 stages. First stage is called, write it down, filtration. The first step under this process is called filtration. So, as we know, I have told you that blood enters the glomerulus through efferent arteriole and leaves through efferent, E-double-F. So, it enters through efferent and leaves through efferent. So, make sure the pronunciation is more or less close to it. And the result, the filtration of blood in which water and small molecules are filtered out of the walls of capillaries, okay, from the walls of capillaries, and Bowman capsule and enter in the renal tubule. So, after getting the filtration, the blood enter into the whole junction that we have just told you, the renal tubule, by the name of proximal and loop of Henle and distal tubule. And the large molecules, they remain in the blood of glomerulus because the size is more. So, the large molecules will remain in the blood in that organ called glomerulus. And the filtrate, now underline this and write it down, the filtrate contains, which comes into the Bowman capsule, the filtrate contains water, glucose, salts, water, glucose, then salts, write them properly, then urea, consists urea, then referred as vitamins. So, they are all in that blood which is filtered out, and we call them these component as glomerular filtrate. Write down this word. We all call these component under the heading glomerular filtrate, okay, glomerular filtrate. Now, this is the first part of the process called filtration. Now, write down the second component or process under this heading, referred as selective reabsorption. Underline the word selective reabsorption, okay, reabsorption. So, selective reabsorption, the second part of the process. In this selective reabsorption, the filtrate passes down the proximal tubule. So, this filtrate runs through this tubule, and much of the salts and glucose are reabsorbed. So, the salts and glucose, they are reabsorbed and brought back into the blood, and the filtrate now consists basically of urea, because the salts and glucose are reabsorbed and they are left basically about urea, the toxic waste you can call it, and some of the salts and water are still in that particular component. Now comes, after selective reabsorption, the third step under this process, we call this tubular secretion, okay, tubular secretion. So, write it down. First was filtration, then was selective reabsorption, now it is called tubular secretion. So, here the compounds enter these tubules by diffusion from the capillary network, and such compound, write down the word, that compounds like excess, underline the word excess of potassium, write it down, excess of potassium and nitrogenous waste, excess of potassium and nitrogenous waste are secreted in the distal tube. This part of the tube called the distal tube, they are secreted there and mixed with contents of the tubule, and the filtrate, make sure the filtrate that runs beyond the distal tubule, from there onwards you use the word called urine. So, that filtrate which finally the body get rid of is called urine. You can imagine that how briefly and complexity including the whole body, works out and take out maximum substance from the waste that the body can, so that all nutrients that body has got it get reabsorbed, and ultimately the one the body won't need it, is then get rid of that, referred as the urine. Now, ultimately you should also know that these terms that we finally move into is referred as the process called, which has been performed by the kidneys. Then sometime we do ask you that ultimately we have read about the whole topic, what is the function of kidney. So, write down some function here, so that things will be clear to you and be remembered. So, first function we have already told you is referred as osmoregulation. Okay, osmoregulation. So, write down this term and check out the definition which I have told you. The first function of kidney is osmoregulation. Second function is, write it down, secretion of enzymes. Okay, secretion of enzyme. In particular, we have read about this enzyme in digestive system called renin, R-E-N-I-N. So, check out your last note that what is renin. So, first function is osmoregulation, second function is secretion of lot many enzymes, one of them is renin. Then third function is conversion of, this is most important part, one of the important part, conversion of inactive form of vitamin D. Check it out. Conversion of inactive form vitamin D to the active form. Okay, to the active form. So, these are some of the main function for kidneys. So, first one was osmoregulation, the second one was secretion of lot many enzymes, and one of them is renin, and last one was the conversion of inactive form of vitamin D to the active form. So, please run through the whole presentation again, write down it in proper format, draw the diagrams properly, put them in the notes and learn them as you write them in the notes. Okay? Have a nice time. Take care. Bye.